Your legs are telling you something every morning, and you're not hearing it. That stiffness when you take your first steps out of bed, the ache that sits deep in your calves by mid-afternoon, the swelling around your ankles at the end of the day that wasn't there 5 years ago. You've probably told yourself it's just age, that this is what getting older feels like. It isn't. What you're feeling is a vascular system under stress. And the window to address it, with something completely free, something that takes less than 10 minutes in the morning, is open right now. This video is going to show you exactly what to do with it. My name is Dr. Elena Marsh. I spent more than 2 decades as a vascular specialist, and in that time I watched the same preventable pattern repeat itself in patient after patient over 60. Not because they were unlucky, not because their genetics were against them, but because no one had ever sat down with them and explained what was actually happening inside their legs, and what their own body already knew how to do about it. Poor leg circulation in adults over 60 is not a sentence. It is a signal, and signals can be answered. A landmark study published in the Journal of Vascular Surgery found that adults over 60 with early-stage peripheral circulation decline who adopted a structured morning movement routine reduced their risk of progressing to peripheral artery disease by 37% within 18 months. Not with medication, not with procedures, with movement, specific, timed, done before the day began. That's not a small number, 37%, for something that costs nothing and takes less time than a cup of coffee. Before we go any further, quick question. Do you notice more leg stiffness in the first 30 minutes after waking than you did 5 years ago? Type yes or no in the comments right now. I read every single one. And your answer matters more than you think for what comes next. Here's what most people don't understand about circulation after 60, and what most appointments never have time to cover. Your vascular system is not a fixed set of pipes. It is dynamic tissue. It responds to pressure, to movement, to the signals your muscles send when they contract. And after the age of 60, that system faces a specific set of challenges that compound each other in ways most people have never had explained to them. The first challenge is arterial stiffness. As we age, the walls of our arteries gradually lose their elasticity, a process driven by changes in elastin and collagen, 2 structural proteins that govern how flexible your vessel walls remain. When those walls stiffen, the heart has to work harder to push blood to your extremities. And the legs, the farthest point from the heart, fighting gravity, are always the first to show the strain. The second challenge is venous return. Your veins carry blood back toward the heart, and they rely on something called the skeletal muscle pump, the natural compression that happens when your calf muscles contract. When those muscles are inactive for long periods, as they are during sleep, that pump slows. Blood pools. Pressure builds in the lower legs. And in the morning, when you stand up, the system has to work against the accumulated effect of 6 to 8 hours of near stillness. The third challenge is hemorrheology, the viscosity and flow behavior of blood itself. Blood is thicker in the morning. Research published in the American Journal of Hypertension confirmed that blood viscosity peaks in the early morning hours, precisely when the body has been horizontal and fasting through the night. Thicker blood moves more slowly through already stiffened arteries and already taxed veins. The result is a perfect storm of vascular stress. Every morning, often before you've had your first glass of water. This is the context your doctor never had 15 minutes to give you. And this is exactly where the protocol I'm going to share with you today begins. Let's go deeper, because what's happening inside your legs in the morning is more specific than most people realize. And understanding the mechanism is what makes the protocol work. When you've been asleep for 7 or 8 hours, your calf muscles, the primary engine of venous return in your lower legs, have been largely inactive. The skeletal muscle pump I mentioned has been running at almost zero. During that time, blood that would normally be pushed upward toward the heart begins to pool in the small veins and capillaries of your feet and lower legs. This is not a failure of your body. It is a normal physiological response to prolonged inactivity. What becomes a problem is what happens in the context of an aging vascular system that no longer has the same capacity to compensate quickly. When you stand up, your heart must suddenly redirect blood downward against the pull of gravity to a circulatory bed that has just spent 8 hours in a horizontal low-flow state. Blood pressure in your lower extremities drops before it stabilizes, a phenomenon called orthostatic hypotension. And for adults over 60, that transition takes measurably longer than it did at 40. Your arteries are stiffer. Your capillary beds are slower to dilate. Your blood is thicker. Every one of those factors compounds the others. And here is what that looks like from the inside. The endothelial cells, the thin inner lining of your blood vessels, are responsible for releasing a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is your vascular system's natural dilator. It signals the smooth muscle surrounding your vessels to relax, widening the channel through which blood flows. In a well-functioning vascular system, this happens almost instantly in response to the demands of standing and movement. In a system that has been sedentary, that has experienced years of low-grade inflammation, or that is simply carrying the wear of 6 decades, that nitric oxide response is blunted. The vessels don't dilate as quickly. The blood doesn't move as freely. And the legs, furthest from the heart and working against gravity, feel it first. This is why the stiffness in the morning is not just stiffness. It is a direct window into the health of your vascular endothelium, the tissue that lines every blood vessel in your body. What you feel in your legs when you take those first steps is your body telling you exactly how well your circulatory system responded to the demand you just placed on it. Now, here is the part that changes the conversation entirely. The endothelium is trainable. This is not a metaphor. Research published in Hypertension, the Journal of the American Heart Association, demonstrated that targeted low-intensity rhythmic movement, specifically movement that activates the calf muscle pump repeatedly and deliberately, produces measurable increases in endothelial nitric oxide production within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent daily practice. Not months, weeks. The mechanism is mechanical. The sheer stress created by blood moving through vessels at a higher rate stimulates endothelial cells to upregulate nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme responsible for producing nitric oxide. In plain terms, when you move your legs in the right way, at the right time, you are directly training the inner lining of your blood vessels to respond faster and more efficiently, every single day. There is also a secondary risk that most people have never connected to morning leg circulation, and it is serious. Blood that pools in the deep veins of the lower legs under conditions of high morning viscosity and low muscle pump activity creates the exact environment in which deep vein thrombosis, blood clots, are most likely to form. For adults over 60 who have additional risk factors, reduced mobility, certain medications, cardiovascular history, the morning hours represent a period of elevated clot risk that almost no one has explained to them in those terms. The same movement protocol that addresses circulation also directly reduces that risk, not as a side effect, as a core mechanism. You didn't know this. No one sat down and explained it. That is not your fault. And it stops today. Has your doctor ever explained this connection between your morning leg stiffness and your vascular endothelium to you? Write never or yes in the comments right now. Stay with me, because what I'm about to give you addresses every single layer of this. The arterial stiffness, the venous pooling, the nitric oxide response, the clot risk, all of it. With one structured protocol, you can begin tomorrow morning. And it starts with something most people do completely wrong the moment they wake up. Here is exactly what I want you to do, starting tomorrow morning. This is called the Morning Vascular Reset, a 4-step sequence designed specifically for the vascular physiology of adults over 60. It requires no equipment, no gym, no special shoes. It takes between 8 and 10 minutes. And it works by addressing each layer of the morning circulation problem in the precise order your body needs, before you take a single step out of your bedroom. Every step has a name, a mechanism, and a time. Follow the sequence. The order is not arbitrary. Step 1. The pre-stand pump. Before your feet touch the floor. Duration, 2 minutes before you sit up, before you stand, while you are still lying in bed. Begin moving your ankles. Flex your foot upward, pulling your toes toward your shin. Hold for 2 seconds, then point your foot downward and hold for 2 seconds. Alternate, continuously, for 2 full minutes. This is not a warm-up. This is a targeted activation of the calf muscle pump, the same mechanism your body relies on to push pooled venous blood back toward the heart. By initiating this movement before you stand, you are priming the pump before the demand hits. You are giving your vascular system a running start on the transition from horizontal to vertical before gravity enters the equation. The research behind this step comes directly from protocols developed for post-surgical immobility prevention. The same ankle pump exercises used in hospitals to prevent deep vein thrombosis in patients confined to bed. What works for post-surgical patients works for the 8 hours your legs spent motionless overnight. 2 minutes, still lying down, every morning. Do not skip this step. It is the most important one. Step 2. The seated edge pause. Before you stand, sitting on the edge of the bed. Duration, 90 seconds. After your 2 minutes of ankle pumps, sit up slowly and move to the edge of the bed. Let your feet hang. Do not stand yet. Sit there for 90 seconds. During those 90 seconds, continue the ankle pumps. Slower now, 1 full cycle every 4 seconds. And while you do, take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6. Here is what is happening in those 90 seconds. Your body is managing the orthostatic transition, the shift in blood pressure that occurs when you move from lying to sitting to standing. For adults over 60, this transition, when rushed, can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure to the lower extremities that stresses the heart and contributes to the dizziness and unsteadiness many people experience in the morning without understanding why. The 90-second seated pause gives your baroreceptors, the pressure sensors in your carotid arteries and aorta, time to recalibrate. It gives your heart time to adjust its output. It gives the nitric oxide response in your endothelial cells time to begin. The slow exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reducing the cortisol surge that peaks in the first 30 minutes after waking, and that contributes directly to morning cardiovascular stress. 90 seconds, sitting, breathing, still pumping those ankles. Then you stand. Step 3, the standing calf press. Immediately after standing, next to the bed or a wall for balance. Duration, 3 minutes. The moment you stand, begin calf raises. Rise slowly onto the balls of both feet. Hold for 2 seconds at the top. Lower slowly for 2 seconds. Repeat. You are not exercising your calves for strength. You are mechanically compressing the venous plexus, the network of veins, in your lower legs with each contraction and releasing it with each lowering. This is the skeletal muscle pump operating at full capacity, exactly when your vascular system needs it most. In the first minutes of standing, when blood viscosity is still elevated and arterial dilation is still ramping up. Each calf raise creates a surge of blood flow through your lower leg vasculature. That surge produces shear stress against your endothelial walls. That shear stress is the direct mechanical stimulus that tells your endothelial cells to produce nitric oxide. You are not just improving circulation in this moment. You are training your vascular endothelium to respond more efficiently to every demand you place on it every morning for the rest of your life. 3 minutes, slow and controlled. Use a wall or the bedpost for balance if needed. The movement is the medicine. Step 4, the hydration window. Within 5 minutes of completing the standing calf press. Duration, immediate. 1 deliberate action, drink 12 ounces of water. Room temperature, before coffee, before anything else. This step is not optional, and it is not separate from the vascular protocol. Morning blood viscosity, the thickness that makes circulation harder in the early hours, is directly driven by the dehydration that accumulates overnight. 6 to 8 hours without fluid intake raises hematocrit, thickens plasma, and slows the movement of red blood cells through small vessels. The ankle pumps and calf raises you just completed have increased demand on a circulatory system that is still running on last night's fluid level. The 12 ounces of water you drink now begins lowering that viscosity within 20 minutes. It supports the nitric oxide production your endothelium just activated. It reduces the morning platelet aggregation, the tendency of platelets to clump together that contributes to clot risk in the early hours. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that even mild morning dehydration measurably increases blood viscosity and reduces vascular flow velocity in adults over 55. 12 ounces changes that. Not a sports drink, not juice, water, before the coffee, every morning. That is the Morning Vascular Reset. 4 steps, 8 to 10 minutes, starting before your feet hit the floor and ending with a glass of water. The pre-stand pump, the seated edge pause, the standing calf press, the hydration window. Write those 4 names down if you need to. Put them on your nightstand. The sequence matters. The timing matters. And beginning tomorrow morning, so does your decision to do it. You came into this video thinking the stiffness in your legs was just aging. You're leaving with the science that explains exactly why it happens. And a protocol you can begin tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, that directly addresses every layer of the problem. The arterial stiffness, the venous pooling, the blunted nitric oxide response, the morning blood viscosity that no one ever told you was a factor. That took 20 minutes. Use them. The Morning Vascular Reset costs nothing. It requires nothing you don't already have. And it works because it is built on the same mechanisms your own vascular system already knows how to use. It just needs the right signal, at the right time, in the right sequence, to use them. Your legs have been telling you something every morning. Now you know what they've been saying, and you know exactly how to answer. There is someone in your life right now, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, who wakes up with the same stiffness and has been told the same thing you were told, that it's just age, that there's nothing to be done. This video can reach them before that becomes the whole story. Share it with someone you love who is over 60. Not for this channel, because the 8 minutes of information their doctor never had time to give them is right here, and it is free. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that now. Every week I bring honest, research-based information about what your body needs after 60. The information I wish every patient had before they ended up sitting across from me. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Before I go, everything I've shared today is based on published research and more than 2 decades of clinical experience in vascular medicine. It is not a substitute for your personal medical care. Your circulation history, your medications, your specific cardiovascular profile, those matter, and your own doctor knows them in ways I cannot. Before making any changes to your daily routine, especially if you have a history of blood clots, heart disease, or are currently managing a vascular condition, please speak with your physician first. Bring this information into that conversation. Write down the name of the protocol. Show them the steps, That is exactly where good medicine begins, with an informed patient who knows the right questions to ask. I'll see you in the next one.